What's going on? Matt Savoca here from Awesemo.com, bringing you the Yahoo Super Bowl 56 top plays. This should be an awesome game. Finally, the big game is here this Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern from Los Angeles SoFi Stadium. The Rams are technically the away team here, facing off against the home team Bengals, but they are favored at their home stadium by 4.5 points here. Before we get into Yahoo top plays here, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, FanUp. Today's show is sponsored by FanUp, and if you haven't checked them out, now is the time to do so. FanUp is featuring contests all this week for the Super Bowl and the NBA, and you can use promo code Awesemo when you sign up for $25 in free bets added to your account and 2,000 bonus points, which is the equivalent of $20, no deposit required. Get started by clicking the link in the video description below. We also want to remind you guys, go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that you always know when that channel is going live. You guys know what to do. It's the Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. And finally, if you could give me, Matt Savoca, a follow on Twitter at Draftaholic, that would be much appreciated as well. Okay, guys, on the screen here, we have our 10 through 6 of our top plays on Yahoo. We got the Rams defense surprising here. They are number 1 in PFF's team defensive grades in the regular season here. And while Joe Burrow has been playing excellently these playoffs, the Rams defense is a force to be reckoned with on their own. Players like Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald can change the game on their own here. That is not outside the range of outcomes here. Then we've got Tyler Boyd, the third receiver on his own team for the Bengals, but he has a over 95% snap share, and his route participation rate was among the top in the NFL this season. He has a 23% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Then there's Odell Beckham, who has caught all but 3 of his targets in this postseason and has been used all over the field, including the red zone. He has a 25% chance of being in the optimal lineup despite having a superstar on the other side of the field at the wide receiver position on his own team. Then there's the second wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, T. Higgins, with a 28% chance of being in the optimal lineup. I mean, it was just a few weeks ago when he had 190 plus yards receiving in a game. If this defense for the Rams is able to shut down Jamar Chase, it might be T. Higgins having the big game here if this game is going to be close. And then it's Cam Akers, banged up this week with a shoulder injury, missed time during the conference championship game, but expected to play here. He is only a 5% chance of being an optimal superstar pick, but you would expect with a running back, even one that may not be a workhorse running back, a 24.5% chance of being an optimal flex play. That puts him in the optimal lineup nearly 30% of the time. He doesn't quite crack the top 5 though. Who does? Let's watch and find out. At number 5, running back Joe Mixon for the Cincinnati Bengals. Really the only workhorse running back we can guarantee here, barring injury. Mixon has been spelled at times for Samaje Perine, especially on passing downs, but we still expect nearly 20 opportunities for Mixon. And if there's any player who's going to get up to 25 opportunities, it's Mixon and only Mixon in this game. Averaged 4.2 yards per carry last week, despite only finishing with 88 yards on the ground. He had a 23-yard run there that really solidified his day. But against the Los Angeles Rams, who are built to stop the pass, but ended up ranking higher in the NFL against the run in yards per carry allowed than they did in yards per pass attempt, Joe Mixon has about 3 in 10 simulations where he scores under 10 fantasy points. With great opportunity often comes large production. The ceiling is still pretty high. He's scoring nearly 25 fantasy points in 23% of our simulations here, but I'm not sure if we can be so sure that he's going to get up there this week. A 14.5 median projection for Mixon is fair, but compared to a $31 salary, he's not my favorite player, not my favorite skill player on this slate. Still, the upside is there for Mixon in this Super Bowl matchup. That's why he comes in at number 5. At number 4, Jamar Chase, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, officially the NFL's Rookie of the Year this season. Much deserved. 1,455 yards receiving this season, averaged 18 yards a reception. And while it hasn't been that crazy high in the playoffs, he's still averaging nearly 14 yards a catch on his 20 receptions in 3 games this postseason. Kept relatively quiet last week, caught 6 of 9 passes for 54 yards, but in in the 2 games previous, he had 100-yard receiving games in both games on just 18 targets here, and he could easily see upwards of 9 to 12 targets in this game here. He will see plenty of Jalen Ramsey. The Rams were ranked number 1 in PFF's team defensive grades this season, but still, there's a 31% chance in our latest simulations that Jamar Chase scores over 25 fantasy points. He has an outside shot of being the highest scoring wide receiver on this slate, despite tons of star power on the field with him, and a 15.2 median projection compared to a $34 salary. We will take that from this rookie wideout for the Bengals. Chase having a big game will go a big way towards the Bengals pulling off an upset. He is in the optimal lineup 40% of the time. At number 3, it's Joe Burrow, whose salary is 33 on Yahoo for this single game slate, and that's pretty fair here. A 19.1 median projection isn't crazy good for a quarterback, but it's good enough. Burrow has been credited for playing cool under pressure, especially with the amount of pressure his offensive line is giving up, but he still only had 250 yards through the air last week. That's way different than the 348 yards he had against Tennessee, but no touchdowns, strangely. So he hasn't really put it all together in a single game here, and arguably this is the toughest defensive matchup he's had in the entire postseason. Not saying that Burrow can't pull off the upset here. He absolutely could. I mean, look at the projections here. He has a 44.4% chance of scoring 25 fantasy points, but this is a tough matchup. In 15% of our simulations, Joe Burrow is scoring under 10 fantasy points. That illustrates the kind of downside that exists here. Very wide range of outcomes for this second-year player. He's been great this postseason, and the story about him would be incredible if he's able to pull off the upset, but Joe Burrow is my second favorite quarterback. That puts him at number 3. He's in the optimal lineup 60% of the time. At number 2, it's Matthew Stafford, and there really shouldn't be a $3 salary difference between the two quarterbacks here, especially when Matthew Stafford's team is favored to win the game, meaning they're implied for more points here, and he's implied for more of a median projection than his QB counterpart Stafford is as well here. 20.1 is his median projection. So just comparing to salary-based expectations, Matthew Stafford is the better quarterback value play. And we see a nearly 51% chance of him scoring 25 fantasy points. Cincinnati ranked 10th of the 14 qualifying playoff teams this season in PFF's team defensive grade, and in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed, they were the worst playoff defense coming in. Now, they've cleaned things up for sure. They are averaging just 19.5 points allowed over their last 3 games. That'll get it done, but I don't think they're ready for Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Odell Beckham. As good as the Chiefs were, they really shot themselves in the foot. We don't know if Los Angeles is going to do the same here, giving the Cincinnati secondary the same kind of breaks. I think Stafford has a great game here. He is the most likely MVP option as well, but he doesn't make number 1 on this Yahoo list. Still, he's in the optimal lineup 65% of the time. Now, before I get into my number 1 play on Yahoo for this Super Bowl slate, just want to remind you guys, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you always know when we're going live. You guys know what to do. And if you could give me, Matt Savoca, a follow on Twitter at Draftaholic, that would be much appreciated as well. Also want to give one more shout out to our presenting sponsor, FanUp. They've got all sorts of contests for the Super Bowl, for the NBA. They've got all sorts of offers here. The Awesemo promo code you see down below gets you 2,000 bonus points, and you can get $25 worth of free bets in your account when you sign up today. No deposit required. Get started by clicking the link in the video description below. Okay, guys, let's get into my number 1 play on Yahoo for Super Bowl 56. And at number 1, it's Cooper Kupp. Who did you think it was going to be? Cooper Kupp has had a season to remember here. 1,947 receiving yards on a whopping 191 targets. And in the playoffs, he's followed it right up. 386 receiving yards on 32 targets, 4 touchdowns in 3 games. And remember, the Rams had that wild card game locked up early. They only passed 17 times, and yet Cooper Kupp has still managed some insane numbers, especially over the last 2 weeks. 11 targets, 9 receptions, and 183 yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then he follows it up with 142 yards on 11 receptions and 2 touchdowns against the San Francisco 49ers. He could not be stopped by any defense defense in the NFC. Let's see if Cincinnati fares better here. Their secondary certainly has been playing better, but look at the ceiling projection for Kupp. He scores 25 fantasy points in 55% of our simulations, and in less than 10% of our sims is he scoring less than 10 fantasy points. That is just an insane projection for Cooper Kupp. Nearly 22 points as his median projection, meaning that $41 in salary for a wide receiver is not too high. He is my #1 play on Yahoo for this Super Bowl. And that is gonna do it for my top plays on Yahoo for Super Bowl 56. It's been an incredible ride for this entire NFL season, and I thank all of you guys for watching these contenders videos. We will, of course, have all the NBA, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, League of Legends, you name it. If they've got sports covered on DraftKings or FanDuel or Yahoo, we will have content for you on Awesemo.com and the Awesemo YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Matt Savoca. We'll see you guys next time.